Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys. It is Tuesday, March the 11th. Holy shit, forgot the date for a second, but it clicked in at the last moment. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and look who's here, reunited, and it feels so good. Peaches and Herb, all you youngsters out there, look it up. Classic from back in the day. We've got both Robinsons in the house here. Matt Robinson, back from New York. He made a part of it, New York. I'm in a singing mood today. I don't know why, but it's beautiful weather outside here. That's why it's warmer than usual. Matt Robinson is back from New York City, and Ryan Robinson with us as well, ready to talk Tuesday NHL and also recap, of course, last night's action. But Matt, first of all, the New York experience. We got to ask you, how did it go? I know you were grumbling about the start to the trip. The flight wasn't great. The hotel, you were shocked to see that you were living at the Motel 8 or some, run down, beaten down facility. But at the end of the day, as you experienced the day by day life, I guess you can say, and experiences of New York, you enjoyed being there. And of course, you were there for playing FDNY with Reno, the Ice Raiders, for a couple of games. So how was the whole trip?
Yeah, so obviously started out long travel day. My original flight was actually canceled the night before, so scrambling to get on a new flight. Some hefty delays, lost baggage that ended up on different flights. And as you mentioned, a shitty hotel. It was actually a pretty nice area, Bay Ridge, New York, on the south side of Brooklyn. A lot of cool stuff around us, but the hotel itself was just a dumpster fire. But overall, New York City was awesome. It's the first time as an adult I've really got to spend any time there and kind of, go to some cool bars, restaurants, take the subway, take the ferry around, all that fun stuff. So really enjoyed it. Obviously was there to play 2 hockey games. Turned out to be 1 hockey game. There was an issue at the rink Friday night. We actually went out for warm-ups, and there was like these ditches in the ice from the Zamboni blade that, it had gotten broken. The Zam driver just kept kept driving.
Wow.
So we're out for warm-ups, and the refs are taking a look, and it was just like, this is unsafe.
Can't play on this ice surface the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, while both
death trap.
The Reno team, the FDNY team, when the game's going competitive, high field hockey, nobody wants to tear an ACL because they take a left turn and get into a divot on a shitty ice surface. They've got their job as firemen in New York, and we all in Reno have jobs as well. So it was deemed unplayable after warm-ups, so that was kind of a shit show, getting dressed, warming up, and then game getting canceled. But they took us over to a bar not far from the hotel, bought some pizzas, bought some wings, bought us some beers, and for us, all was the same. So had a good Friday night, and then Saturday, luckily they got the ice fixed. The rink we were playing at in Coney Island was hosting the New York High School State Championship, so they had to work overnight to get this figured out. But the ice was fine on Saturday, so a good game there. And then long travel day back. Sunday, and then back to the old grind. But overall, great trip. Big fan of New York. I definitely want to go out at a time when it's like warm, but not late summer. I know it gets hot and humid there. But I feel like, you catch like an April, May day in New York, maybe 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's hot and humid here in the middle of the summer. So I can imagine there, same thing.
Yeah. So, but overall, great trip. Glad to be back. We actually have 2 weekends in a row coming up here. So to kind of wrap up the regular season for us. So just back to the work grind. But great trip.
Yeah, I know. We've been the Matt Robinson and Reno Ice Raiders hockey marketing and promotion department lately here, posting those links, getting those YouTube links out for the whole home games because they stream all the Reno home games live on YouTube. Actually, it was Ryan who mentioned that first to me long time ago, saying he watches most of them. So, your season's winding down, a couple of games left. Ryan, you're on spring break, so I know you're enjoying some time off. How are things?
Yeah, it's good. I'm no fun trips like Matt took, but I'm on spring break right now, so no school. Just kind of hanging out, watching hockey, relaxing. I'm gonna golf with one of my buddies later, so just a lot of time catching up on sleep and kind of just enjoying the week, getting to watch a ton of hockey. No responsibilities, so I'm excited to be with you guys today, talk hockey, and then have a fun day and watch a big slate of games later.
Hearing about your day is going to piss off ABC and TNT even more because they had the Flyers Kraken, Bruins Lightning doubleheader Saturday. TNT had the Flyers Devils, Penguins Wild doubleheader. Both were an absolute disgrace. The games were horrible. The games were absolutely horrendous. And they lose out to Brian Robinson, who's got a better doubleheader on tap today. The Ice Guys show and then a round of golf right after that. So they're losing doubleheader battles to everybody right now. Yeah,
it's hard to beat that day, that's for sure.
No doubt. All right, last night, Ottawa, Detroit. I'm going to start there because it was the headline game. What a performance from Linus Ullmark. That was Vezina form Linus Ullmark last night. Spectacular game, 49 saves. The main reason Ottawa gets the win, 2-1. Dylan Cousins gets the game winner for Ottawa and his first goal with the Sens. And just when it looked like they had finally beaten Ullmark, right at the end as the clock expired, unfortunately for Detroit, the puck went in after time had expired, and the goal doesn't count, obviously, and the Ottawa Senators hang on for a 2-1 win, a costly, cruel loss for Detroit because they'd certainly played well enough and outplayed Ottawa, but Ullmark was the difference. Spectacular performance, and now they fall 5 points back of Ottawa, who now have the first wild card, 4 points behind Columbus for the second wild card. So Detroit losing ground and struggling at the wrong point in time. And again, we bitched about it yesterday. Why wasn't Mrazek starting? I'm done. I'm not going to say more about it. I've said enough yesterday. It made no sense. And they pay the price for it. I mean, it's not like Talbot was terrible. He couldn't have done much about the 2 goals, but you got to stand in there and try to make that key save at 1-1. Not able to. And there's Ullmark standing on his head at the other end. You know, it's a tough look for a guy like Cam Talbot right there. So 2-1 there for the Ottawa Senators as the goaltending was spectacular in that game. What else did we see last night? We saw, obviously, Edmonton and Buffalo. Typical Edmonton, right? Huge win against Dallas Stars, the much-anticipated game Saturday night where they had to hang on for dear life, actually, in that Dallas win. And then they go to Buffalo and they lose 3-2. Although I will say UPL picked a pack of pickled peppers, was outstanding in net. He really had a great game. And Edmonton hit like 6 posts, if you can believe it. 6 posts in that game. It's just the iron unkind, as Tim Brando would say. It definitely was for Edmonton last night in that game as they fall 3-2 to the Buffalo Sabres. And then in the late night hours, we saw Chicago, Colorado. I mean, this is a bad beat if you had Chicago to score in the first period. The Wedgwood was the wedge wall last night, as his Instagram account says. He was absolutely outstanding. He was able to match with Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight had a very good game. He couldn't have done anything about the goals that went in against him, but it was a great goaltending battle, much to our chagrin. Certainly, we thought Chicago could have scored a couple. That save he made when he was down on his keister, down on his backside, and stretches out one of his goalie pads in the air to keep the puck out on Bedard. Just absolutely ridiculous save by Wedgwood. But credit to Colorado. They get the shutout win, 3-0. They finally broke through in the third period. They get the win there. And then a wild one in Utah between the Leafs and the Utah Hockey Club. Toronto goes up 3-0. Utah roars back and ties it, but the Leafs win in a shootout 4-3. Last night was not a great night for me for the second time in 3. But thankfully the draw hit last night in that Toronto Ute. That really helped out getting the draw in that game. And Toronto, you want to see a couple of nice shootout goals? Watch the goals that Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner scored. Absolutely filthy. Those 2 goals that beat Karel Vejmelka and helped Toronto escape despite blowing the 3-0 lead. They get a much-needed win to salvage 1 game on the road trip and get the 4-3 win against Utah. And now they head back home, Toronto, and they play Thursday against, guess who? The Florida Panthers. What a huge game that's going to be in the battle for first in the Atlantic Division. And, of course, it's huge to get first in that division. Alex and I have talked about it. You want to avoid Tampa Bay or Florida at all costs in the first round. That's why winning that Atlantic Division is going to be so paramount. Alex, your thoughts on Monday night?
Yeah, like I said, the big game of the night was obviously Detroit and Ottawa, and that game played like a playoff game. The crowd was into it. That's the loudest I've heard, Ottawa's arena in a long time. And like
They
you
said
you
that on
know,
the broadcast too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the thing. I watched. This was a game where I kind of split back and forth because you had, the game on Amazon Prime, so it was Portland's broadcast. But I watched a little bit of Detroit's broadcast too, and that's what I really caught my ear was that the Red Wings announcers were noticing how loud it was. They mentioned it as well. So that's significant. That's always good, especially for a franchise that struggled to get fans out for a long time, and then to deliver with a win. And we said it going all the way back to the season previews. You have to have a goaltender who can steal your game. That's the reason why Linus Olmark's in Ottawa. It's the reason why a lot of these goalies are where they are. But then, like I said, you made the splash move to get a better goalie in Mrazek. That was the game to play him last night, just off of the fact that, okay, yeah, Talbot didn't play poorly. But when you need somebody to step up and give you a big save, Talbot just hasn't been doing it lately. And that ends up being the death knell. 2-1 Sens in regulation. That's a tough loss, and that might be the beginning of the end for Detroit. Like I said, they're gonna need a lot to turn around and come back, and they're gonna need some misfortune from some teams that are in front of them as well. I just don't think all of that's gonna happen at once. So that's a rough one for them. But looking at that Colorado Chicago game, like I said, there were bad beats galore in this. Nathan McKinnon, looks like he's got his 1,000th point in that goal that would have made it 1-0 Colorado. That gets called back on the slightest of an offside call. I really didn't even think it was. I thought that was onside in my opinion. But like I said, they showed it and they zoomed in and they got the call right eventually.
Close.
But it was very, very close. So you get that goal taken away. Like you said, Wedgwood makes an incredible bicycle kick save on his back, takes the goal away. So if you had both teams to score in the first period, you got skunked on that one. And then the piece de resistance, it's 2-0 late. Those of us who had plus 2.5 with the Hawks, that goes down the shitter too. 3-0 Avs final. First time the Hawks have been shut out all season. The only team left without a shutout to their record in the loss column is the Dallas Stars. So, like I said, that's going to happen at some point. I have a bunch of things circled. And it was funny because talking with some people before the game last night, and there were a couple players being mentioned. I said, no, I have things circled for Thursday anyway. And I'm expecting a good back and forth game. Wasn't expecting a 3-0 shutout loss. But now with the shutout, couple of days off, and you're playing a bad team like San Jose, I think the Hawks might come out with some fire in that game. So I definitely have a circle around that one. And then, of course, Toronto, Utah would great to grab and cash with a draw winner on what was a bad night. But that was a perfect draw season setup. And kudos to Utah for coming back. Like I said, down 3-0.
They're a feisty team. They're really feisty.
They're scrappy. And they're playing better at home. Like, they're not just completely it was just a stretch where this team just looked like they didn't give a shit at home. Now they're actually playing with some purpose and some intensity at home, feeding off of that crowd. So that's good to see for them. Even if they are out of the race, they're still going to be a scrappy fighting team to the end. And you like seeing that from some of those mid-tier teams. It sucks when a team realizes, they're out of it, and then all of a sudden they just completely bottom out, like Philadelphia, for example. It was an interesting night, and now we turn the page to a big slate tonight.
Yeah, we do. No question about that. I was going to ask Matt and Ryan about last night's action, but I figured I was going to ask them anyway about the Mikko trade. They haven't been able to talk about it. I'm sure they'd probably maybe rather talk about the Mikko trade to Dallas and their thoughts on that than say last night's action. But one last thing I wanted to point out about the Utah game, because I didn't mention this on the show, and I thought it was worth mentioning. Josh Doan got a point. It would have been a nice little situational look to bet Josh Doan props last night, because his dad, Shane, obviously, he was in the building last night because he's working for the Leafs. He's an assistant to Brad Treliving right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So dad's in the building. You can't be sloughing off and not showing up to play well. So, and he got an assist last night in that game for the Utah Hockey Club. All right, the Mikko Rantanen trade. I've said my piece. I've said all I've needed to say about it. Alex did as well, but we haven't heard from the Dallas Stars fans in the house here, the two Robinsons here, about that trade since it's happened. Obviously, it's a huge deal. I know Matt and I have been back and forth talking about how some fans said, do you really want to part ways with Logan Stankoven in a deal for Mikko Rantanen? But when you are able to get the kind of player that Mikko Rantanen is, who's a proven playoff performer, by the way. This is a guy that doesn't get 90 points in the season, and then he just goes away and disappears in the playoffs. He's played extremely well in the postseason. So you go out and make that deal probably 10 times out of 10. if you're Jim Nill. Ryan, we'll start with you first. The Mikko Rantanen deal, I'm sure you were going nuts when it happened.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I know people don't want to hear about it again, but I actually saw a tweet the night before it happened. It was midnight, 1 a.m., whatever, and I couldn't sleep. It felt like a kid waiting for Christmas to see if they were going to get what they wanted. Like I was waiting to see if there was another tweet that was going to come out, and nothing came out until the morning. And I was listening to the Dallas sports radio all morning. They were kind of talking about at one point it looked like it wasn't going to happen, and then it was again. So I was so fired up. I mean, Stankoven's a great player, and you're obviously not looking to get rid of him, but when a opportunity like that comes up, it's too good to pass up. And the proven player that Rantanen is, adding that with the offensive talent and depth that Dallas already has, I was so excited, and I think he's going to fit great there. I said it to my buddy, like I would have been fired up even if they got him as just a rental, but the fact that they signed him for 8 more years with that young core that they already have with, Miro and Hintz and Wyatt now locked up and Ottinger, it's a great time to be a Dallas fan. And I don't know if they've ever had a better team in the salary cap era. So I'm super fired up. It was fun watching him the other night. You can just see the talent that he has with how big he is, how skilled he is. So I'm excited to watch him the rest of the season, and hopefully for the next 8 years with Hintz and Robertson and guys like that. So I'm super fired up.
And shout out to our predominant Finnish member of the Ice Guys family, Nicholas Nevalainen, who is telling me that there's a direct flight from Dallas to Helsinki, Finland. And that probably factored into the decision for Mikko Rantanen to go there as well. Obviously, you got a chance to win a cup. The team's great, but from a lifestyle standpoint, those factors come into the decision as well. And to be able to get on a one-way direct flight from Dallas, Texas to Helsinki, Finland, back to the homeland, no wonder that's a big fucking bonus and plus and perk for Mikko Rantanen going there. That I did not know until he said that. So that also explains why it's been a mini little Helsinki growing in Dallas as far as the Stars in the last 20 years. Lots of Finnish players there, including right now, half the Team Finland it feels like might be represented on that Dallas team.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because, like I said, we're talking about and just going back throughout the years, all the way back to, like I said, Jiri Lehtinen. In those days, it's always been a heavy contingent of Finnish players to play for the Stars, and that's a smart move. If you're a team like a Dallas, like a Nashville back in the day, San Jose was another team back in the day. If you draft a lot of players from a country, you want to obviously make those guys feel comfortable. So the more people you have, the more culture within that you have that you build there. That's good. That's a good thing to have. So that might be something that some other cities might want to, and other teams might want to start doing. Building kind of a little loophole, kind of I shouldn't say loophole, but just building kind of a nest egg and a culture for certain groups of players to come and attract them as free agents or signings to make them feel a little bit more at home.
And then Isaac steps up and in with and we saw how Team Finland did in Four Nations. Fair, funny though, fair, but stirring that pot. Matt, your thoughts on the Mikko Rantanen trade?
Well, just about that comment. I mean, they did almost come back and give Canada a scare in that round robin game, and I don't know if there's any team with 5 Four Nations Canadian players on it. So, it is what it is. But all jokes aside, no, it was. It's actually funny. I'm not saying I knew it was happening, but when the Stars did get Granlund before Four Nations, obviously I posted about the Finnish Army growing, and then I want to say like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, there was rumors that maybe Rantanen wasn't going to be in Carolina after the deadline. There was no connection to the Stars, but I think I threw out some stuff about grow the Army again. Why not? More or less joking, honestly, thinking it was pretty unrealistic. I know Dallas had the cap space, obviously, if they wanted to put a couple guys on long-term IR. But it more seemed like Rantanen wanted a long-term deal and wasn't going to sign at Carolina. So, interesting how it all played out. He mentioned it, but we've talked about how Carolina fans are posting, thank God we'd rather have Logan Stankoven. I think that's completely idiotic. Don't get me wrong. Sunday in that game against Winnipeg, Carolina was playing lights out.
And he looked like he fit in great, Stankoven, in his first game. He looked good.
They got goals from the new guys. Stankoven looked great. I I would never say he's not a great fit for Carolina. And honestly, how Rantanen was playing, knowing that he didn't want to be there, sure, you can consider it an upgrade. But I think any NHL team would tell you if you had the option to have Rantanen or Stankoven for 8 years, I don't think there'd be much of a debate there. So I think as a Stars fan, it worked out. I hope Stankoven does, turn into what his potential could be. And I feel like he's the type of guy that fits in perfect with a Rob Brendamore. And, there are a lot of NHL guys that maybe aren't. So I know I probably wouldn't want to be in that locker room, but, I think there's plenty of guys that are. And so I think Stankoven's definitely one. So, yeah, obviously, as Ryan mentioned, it makes the Stars better, especially if they get Miro back here before the end of the season. If Sagan comes back in the first round, second round, look out. And I think really what I'll end on is the tweet that Elliot Friedman put out about how when it was getting close that was going to potentially happen, there were 31 other NHL teams that were really upset about Dallas adding Rantanen because they felt it made them too good. I think that's, my opinion doesn't matter, but I think that shows that clearly this was a big move, and it helps Dallas that was already playing some of the best hockey in the NHL, if not the best, at least since New Year's, an even bigger piece of power forward. So really excited about it. Think he's looked great in his 2 games. I saw posts about he's looked like a different player than he did in Carolina. Couldn't agree more. Clearly seems happy. I don't know if you mentioned it on the show the other day, but Robertson takes a cross check. Rantanen goes over. He's the first one to kind of defend Robertson. He had been in Dallas for 2 days. Well, not even in Dallas. He had been in Edmonton and Vancouver. But just to kind of have that.
I agree. It's good.
Yeah, I know Craig Ludwig on his podcast mentioned, that's something nobody defended him when he got hit the night before against Edmonton. New guy, maybe you're still filling things out, but him to make the initiative, that's going to earn a lot of respect in the locker room. So that on top of having 3 points in 2 games, I know one was an empty netter, but the fact that he's out there game 2 and in crunch time, all good things to see. So very excited about their future. As you guys mentioned, they've got some young guys locked in for a long time. So I think definitely an exciting time to be a Dallas Stars fan.
Yeah, it is. There's going to be some fun hockey and exciting hockey coming up in Big D for the next few months. There's no question about it. Hopefully that's the same thing for tonight. We've got some fun and exciting hockey on the way. Let's begin our Tuesday slate. Columbus, New Jersey. The New Jersey Devils, minus 160 home favorites here in this one. And the total, 5.5, pretty much across the board in this one. Of course, the same, and they're all big, 3 big absences for New Jersey. Jonas Siegenthaler, one of their better defenders on the blue line. And, of course, Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton still out of the lineup for this New Jersey Devils team. Minus 160 favorites. Now, look, New Jersey, with a nice win on the weekend against Philadelphia by a score of 3-1. But this is a New Jersey team that prior to that had lost 3 in a row against Vegas, Dallas, Winnipeg. So against good teams, they lost. They beat Philadelphia, who are really, really reeling with that victory. Good for you. Show me that you can do it tonight against a better team and a team that you're battling with right now. Because they are battling with Columbus. Columbus is only 4 points back of New Jersey for third in the Metro Division with 2 games in hand. Now, obviously, Columbus has not been nearly as good on the road. They lost to Tampa in Florida. They beat the Rangers, and the Rangers aren't great. So you could say the same a little bit about Columbus, but the difference is I'm not laying minus 160 with Columbus. I'm asked to lay minus 160 with New Jersey, who have not looked great with Hughes and Hamilton out, who only beat a struggling, really, really reeling Philadelphia team on Sunday, which doesn't do anything for me. Oh, and by the way, Philly was on a back-to-back because they played early Saturday afternoon as well. So New Jersey kind of took advantage of that. So I have to bet Columbus here at this price, plus 140. I'm okay with it. I think it's worth a shot. Draw as well. We did see, I think, a couple times ago, the game in New Jersey go to overtime. So Jackets and draw split. And I'm going to grab a small over 5 and no first period because New Jersey's been a strong first period under team, but full game over, I'm a little bit interested now that it's fallen to 5.5 here. Columbus has been trending over the total in recent games. Many of them have gone over 5.5. So at 5.5, I'm in with a small over bet. Columbus and the draw. Alex, what do you think here? Jackets, Devils.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, I love the spot for New Jersey to beat Philly because it's set up to play for the future now, plus 800 for Devils to miss playoffs. So I like Columbus in this spot already. Grabs plus 140. Also did grab draw plus 320, and I'm going to take a small shot. And I see this often, and I don't bet this too much when I do it. Have a draw. I will do it a little more in the playoffs. Game to reach overtime and overtime goal scorer. This is available at FanDuel. Take a shot with Adam Fantilli at 100-1. So if this game goes OT, Fantilli pots the game winner. That would be a really nice return on what's been a shitty week. So we're doing that small, but the bigger plays are obviously Columbus as the dog and the draw split.
All right, Matt, what do you think here? Columbus, New Jersey.
Yeah, I lean Columbus here. I think I don't like how New Jersey's trending. Obviously not having a piece like Jack Hughes is tough on a team. Not just a leader from a skill perspective, but a leader in the locker room. All that fun stuff. So I think Columbus is just trending in the right way. I think they're a team I definitely see getting out of this clusterfuck that the East wild card, potentially third place. It's so close with so many teams still alive at this point in the season, but I just think Columbus is trending in the right spot. So I'm going to lean Columbus here. They're one of the few dogs I have on my card tonight. So don't think I'm going to mess with overs. I know the under trend that Chris mentioned with New Jersey. With first period unders.
First period unders. Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of Columbus games that get kind of high scoring. So I just don't know what to expect. Could be a 2-1 game, could be a 5-4 game. But give me Columbus on the money line plus 140.
All right, there you go. Columbus here. Whoops, there we go. All right, there we go. Got our screen back up. Columbus as well for Matt. Ryan, what do you think here? Jackets, Devils.
I'm with you guys. I took a little bit a small shot with the Columbus money line. If it was a couple weeks ago, maybe I'd be taking New Jersey if they had Hughes and they were healthy and playing better. But I don't fully trust their game right now, and Columbus has been hot. So all I have pregame is Columbus money line. I do also, in terms of props, I like looking at Kent Johnson. I think he has 10 points in his last 10 games, so he's been heating up for sure. So any of those goal point props with him, I think, are definitely worth a look. And I'm taking Columbus in this spot.
All right. As far as props, there are some I like. I don't mind any Kent Johnson looks. Certainly Fantilli's been great, but I'm going to go with a couple more. I'm going to go with Matthew Olivier. He scored the last game. New Jersey's been soft in front of their net lately. Okay. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to get you in trouble with Olivier. Olivier goes to the net, goes to the tough areas. That's where he scores a lot of his goals. And he scored against the Rangers that way. I like him for a little value. And how about Justin Danforth? He started to heat up a little bit lately for Columbus. And then for New Jersey, we got to bet Stefan Nason, don't we? He's on the top line tonight for the New Jersey Devils. From all indications, we'll be playing alongside Nico Hischier and Timo Meier. I'm interested there. Dawson Mercer centering the second line of interest. And suddenly heating up just a little bit, getting comfortable. 2 goals in the last 3 games for this team. Although the goal he scored against Toronto was when he played for his old team there, Pittsburgh. But now he's, of course, a member of the New Jersey Devils. But overall, he's got 2 goals in the last 3 games. Cody Glass repair. Cody Glass replace. Yes, Cody Glass. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Just a couple of bucks maybe for him to find the back of the net here for the New Jersey Devils as well. All right, Tampa Bay and Carolina. Carolina minus 135, home favorites, 5.5 the total. Now, a big reason I'm betting Columbus is because, yes, New Jersey beat Philadelphia, but it does nothing for me because Philadelphia is a mess right now. So I think that they're facing tougher competition. Carolina had a surprising, whoa, don't write us off just yet moment Sunday against Winnipeg. I was very impressed with Carolina. in that game against the Winnipeg Jets. And obviously they got a nice win. Logan Stankoven looked very solid in his Carolina Hurricanes debut in a featured role. And here's the thing, there's too many slices of the pie to give out to everybody with Dallas, with how loaded they are. And now Logan Stankoven with Carolina, kind of can just fit in nicely for them and maybe be able to make a big impact, getting more ice time, more opportunity, no question. So very solid win against them. And unlike New Jersey beating Philly, they actually beat a good team, Carolina, against Winnipeg. So, can this team maybe get on a bit of a run, go against the narrative, if you will, about how wretched, horrific trade deadline it was and how they've fallen behind everybody in the Eastern Conference pecking order after what happened? Maybe they're bound and determined to prove to everybody that that's the case. They do have a couple injuries. It looks like Svechnikov, by the way, for Carolina, he was not at practice, and he had an injury against Winnipeg on Sunday, so he's a game-time decision tonight, as is Dmitry Orlov, who also didn't play. He was on the blue line last game for Carolina. Victor Hedman, meanwhile, for Tampa Bay, his status is uncertain. He was on the ice for warm-ups, but he's a game-time decision. He did not play against Boston. He was a very late scratch in that game prior to that game against the Bruins. We have a Vasilevsky and Pyotr Kochetkov confirmation in net here in this game. I could only bet Tampa Bay. I have not moved on Tampa yet, but I could only bet Tampa Bay. I'm not betting against Tampa Bay coming off laying an egg, a dud, a clunker, an absolute friggin' no-show from them. That was brutal the way they played and didn't show up, in my opinion, Saturday afternoon on national TV against the Boston Bruins. There's no doubt after a game like that, Cooper's getting after them. I still think they're better than Carolina right now. They're a slight dog. They've also owned Carolina this year. If you look at the head-to-head, Tampa Bay has beaten them, I think, every time so far this season over the Hurricanes. Tampa Bay, the Lightning have gotten the better of them. So, yeah, 3 meetings this year, Tampa Bay's won all of them. And they won the games in Carolina even more decisively, 8-2 in November. Actually, that was last year. October of this year, 4-1. They went to Carolina and beat the Carolina Hurricanes. So I'm probably going to talk myself into Tampa plus 115. It's certainly the way I would go. Alex, what do you think here? Lightning, Hurricanes.
Yeah, this is another one where I like the dog, not so much in the draw though. I do think this could be a game where maybe, and that's the thing, I might look for something live in regulation if I'm seeing the pace. But I think like the Tampa Bay can come out hot and heavy in this one after having just an absolute lifeless performance, like I said, on national TV. It's a team they've beat 5 of the last 6 meetings. And like I said, Carolina's form, okay, you had to get into, a dogfight and against teams like Boston and even Winnipeg, we know is a good team, but still they're not showing the form that they can just go and run over somebody right now. So give me the Bolts here. Like I said, it's a solid spot. We don't get them too often. We don't get Vasilevsky starting too often at a dog price.
Our chat, man, some of these comments, it's quite amusing. Matt, what do you think here? I'm not going to say what it is, but Matt, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Carolina.
I was laughing too. Yeah, I'm on the Bolts here. We mentioned it in the trade talk earlier. Obviously, Carolina played great against Winnipeg. I know they let them, kind of come back in that game, but exciting win for them. Something they needed. All the trade situations. Stankoven scored. Jankowski scored 2. I think he was plus 700 pregame and then ends up with the first 2 goals. I don't think it's going to be a Cinderella story for the rest of the season. I do just, Tampa, Vasilevsky, as Alex mentioned, at a plus price. These are 2 teams that know each other well, could end up playing each other at some point in the playoffs. I just think Tampa brings it tonight. I think Carolina, it's one of those things where they had such a great win and good feels, and their fans are thinking they're on top of the world. They need a little bit of a humbling moment. I don't think they're going to go on this big skid or anything like that. I just, coming off a win like that on Sunday, I like Tampa Bay here.
As far as props go for me in this game, I want to point out I'm going to take Stankoven for sure, even though I like Tampa in the game. I look at the situation where Stankoven looked good I think goal prop, assist prop for him makes sense. Jackson Blake, there's value because he's playing with Aho as well right now. Aho and Taylor Hall, Stankoven with Kotkaniemi and Yost. And by the way, I'm going to go down the board for Carolina. Mark Jankowski, why not? I can't explain it. He was only on the fourth line, but he got 2 goals on Sunday against Winnipeg, and he scored against Boston, a couple of games before that. So definitely when you look at it, a situation where you could definitely see him maybe find the back of the net. And then for Tampa, I would say Nick Paul is always of interest, no doubt, on the Tampa side. Coming off the loss, maybe we get him finding the back. I like Bjorkstrand again. We'll take a shot. He scored in his debut. Obviously, it should be a Gensel Point Kucherov night because I've never seen that trio collectively as quiet and invisible as they were Saturday afternoon against Boston. So I would expect those guys to be better here as well. Ryan, what do you think, Tampa Bay, Carolina?
Yeah, so I'm on the first period over. I see it at -120. I know with Tampa, with that performance, Alex mentioned they're going to want to come out fast. So I could definitely see some goals in the first period. I know Tampa and Carolina looks like are 5-5 to the first period over in the last 10. So it's kind of a coin flip, but I do look for some goals in this first period. So I like that. I also I like Carolina in this spot. I know Tampa didn't play well last game, didn't have their best performance. Can be hard to bet against Vasilevsky with that plus price, but I just have a gut feeling. Carolina has been playing well lately. They got some new additions at the deadline, and so I do like Carolina at home in this spot. So I'm taking small shot with Carolina money line as well.
No, I see it. If the prices were flipped, I wouldn't be on Tampa. It's just I see the plus money. They've owned Carolina. I still think they're the better team. They're off a loss that they should be coming out, with fire in their nostrils tonight, the way they played against Boston. So that's all factored in. But I get the case for Carolina. Carolina looked good against Winnipeg. I will fully give them that. No doubt. We'll see if they can follow suit though here tonight.
A lot like last night with Detroit, Ottawa. It's what it comes down to. You can make cases for both teams, but when you break it down to the bare bones of this price with these goalies, and it's
we like Piotr, but Vasilevsky's been on the heater of a lifetime since the Four Nations. Yeah, so he's been really good. Here's the thing: this is the system play. You notice I have not mentioned it yet because I'm not bullish on it at all. I think it's probably a lower scoring game. I'm going to sprinkle on it. I mean, this is one of the smallest bets I've ever made on the system play, and really I'm only betting it because it's the system play with first period and full game over. But I don't love it. I got to admit, I'm not sold on this being a goal fest.
It's a good night to maybe just have it circled for live play action. If you're seeing the pace where it's going back and forth, then you'll have some time to jump in and grab it. Maybe isolate, or insulate yourself a little bit and grab goal in first 5 minutes.
Yep.
So that way, if you don't grab anything at plus money with the 1.5, you can protect yourself there. But I wouldn't have anything totals wise pregame.
Vegas, Pittsburgh. Didn't we just see this? Yeah, we saw it in Vegas on Friday night. Now they're playing in Pittsburgh. Vegas -190, road favorite, 6 the total in this game. So my quest to bet the other team over 3.5 team total every game involving Pittsburgh the rest of the season, it finally hit a wall because thank you, Minnesota. What a god-awful performance that was as well from the Minnesota Wild Sunday afternoon, embarrassing the national TV audience with that effort against the Pittsburgh Penguins at home. Really 1 goal against the Pittsburgh Penguins at home from that Minnesota team. So we finally lose a team total over against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tristan Jarry, we do have to give him a little bit of credit. He played well. I think they made life easy on him. We'll have to see if he can do this again. Jarry in net for Pittsburgh. Ilya Samsonov is going to get the start for Vegas. Interesting move. Samsonov was better in his last. Remember, Samsonov beat Pittsburgh, shut out Pittsburgh when these teams played Friday night in Vegas. And now Samsonov's going to get the start. He played very well. And Aiden Hill had his first rough game in a while when the Kings beat the Golden Knights 6-5 on Sunday night. So Bruce Cassidy going with Ilya Samsonov here. Yeah, I'm going to go Vegas team total over again. They cashed it for me against Pittsburgh Friday night. I'm not buying what Jarry's selling just yet. Minnesota was dog shit in that game. Let me see something a little bit better here tonight from him against Vegas. And Vegas, too, even though they've already beaten Pittsburgh, they may not be screwing around tonight because they lost 6-5 to LA at home. They're off a loss. And that's another thing. When you play a down-and-out team like Pittsburgh, You want good teams, but good teams off a loss when they're playing a team like Pittsburgh. So the focus is there. So I'm going to go back to the Golden Knights team total over 3.5. It was good to me Friday night. Hopefully it's good to me again tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm glad I waited because I saw prices this morning around $1.40, $1.35. Now they've come back to earth. Minus $1.20. I'm all in on that Vegas team total. But I also went Vegas first period puck line, laying the half a goal plus 150. I like that in a couple spots here. Like I said, Vegas should be able to kind of name their price, name their number here against the Pens. And I think they do it early. Like I said, how often are we going to have Jari or Nedeljkovic or anybody at Pittsburgh's throwing a net just bounce back off of a good game defensively and have another good game? This isn't the team.
all year.
Hasn't happened. So, yeah, I like Vegas goals here as well.
All right, Matt, what do you think here? Vegas, Pittsburgh.
It's a hard pass for me. It's hard to trust Vegas on the road. I know they've been better than they were at the beginning of the season.
I wouldn't touch minus 190 ever in my lifetime at a price like this. No.
And then you've got Pittsburgh that, they had a nice win, but as you mentioned, Minnesota looked like a dud that game. So just don't trust either side. I don't think the Vegas team total is a bad look, but I think with a card as big as we've got, I'm just going to straight pass this game.
Nothing wrong with that on a big card. Ryan, how about you? Golden Knights, Penguins.
I really like Vegas team total with you as well. I don't really trust. I'm not sold on one good Jari performance, so I do like that team total. I also like Vegas. It's kind of deceiving. Pittsburgh is 5-1 in its last 6 games when playing at home against Vegas, so Vegas has struggled in that building, but Pittsburgh is not the same team this year that they were a few years ago even. So I think Vegas gets it done. I do like their 60-minute line at minus 120 as well. So I think I'm going to split it up with team total over 3.5 and then 60-minute line.
Yeah, so there's some props I like for Vegas. I like Tanner Pearson, as long as he remains on the top line with Eichel and Stone. I think there's great value. He scored there a couple games ago. Saad's even picked up a little offense since he's been there. Dorofeyev's been good. And I'm going to go down the board here and go with the former Penguin, now back with Vegas for the second time, Riley Smith. Watch this be the night he finds the back of the net for the Vegas Golden Knights against his old team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So just a little bit of a hunch play there that Riley Smith for Vegas finds the back of the net here tonight for them. All right, Florida, Boston. We've got the Panthers minus 210 road favorites, 5.5 the total. So Brad Marchand's on the ice with the Panthers in a Panther jersey at TD Garden in Boston this morning, and everyone's thinking he's going to be in the lineup tonight. Let's pump the brakes on that. Even Jimmy Murphy got a little too carried away with that, saying in our group chat. But no, let's calm down a little bit. It's not a speed. It's not all of a sudden the magical cure has made him healthy for tonight. No, he was just out there to, also speak to the media in Boston probably for the first time since the trade. There is no change in his status. He's still week to week. He's still not going to be back, at least probably for another couple weeks. Paul Maurice confirmed this morning that they hope to have Brad Marchand back before the end of the regular season. So we're probably looking at sometime in April when he comes back into the lineup for Florida. But it will definitely not be anytime soon and definitely not be tonight against Boston. What do we make of Boston? Boston is a team that everyone's, lowered the casket, sprinkled the ashes on this team. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, after all the chaos, out goes Marchand, the captain, in a shocking turn of events. Out goes Charlie Coyle, Brandon Carlo, all these great veterans that you've had all these years. Trent Frederick before that. And people thinking it's a sell-off, and this team is just going to be even more dreadful. And what do they do when they rise up in their first game after all that? They beat Tampa Bay and shut them out in Tampa Bay. Incredible on Saturday. Although Tampa Bay really had a hand in that because they were awful. But nevertheless, you give Boston credit for that shutout win. We'll see how they fare here. It's just the value's not there with Florida. I'm certainly not in a rush to fade Florida right now. They're playing well, and it's been impressive, to watch the way they've been able to handle their business here of late, considering the fact that this is a Florida Panthers team that's played some lesser lights and still gotten the job done. And, of course, still have Matthew Tkachuk on IR, and Brad Marchand, who you just got, won't be playing anytime soon. But now comes the big test, and we haven't talked about this yet, the 20-game suspension due to violation of the performance enhancement policy by Aaron Ekblad, and he is going to be out for the remainder of the regular season. And the 20 games includes Game 1 and Game 2 of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So this really is a big deal. It's a huge loss, obviously. We're talking about him and Forsling, especially defensively, probably the two best guys they've got. There's a big opportunity for Seth Jones. He will move into that Forsling pairing. As well, we thought he might be paired with Forsling when he got to Florida. But now with Ekblad sidelined for 20 games, Seth Jones will fill that top pair role with Gustav Forsling, Nico Mikkola, Dmitry Kulikov, Uvis Balinskis, and Nate Schmidt after that. I'm telling you what, you just look on paper. That is a much thinner Florida Panthers blue line without Ekblad. And now Seth we like offensively. Seth we like skating. Seth we like on a power play. We don't love what he's done defensively this year. And you can ask any Chicago Blackhawk fan, including Alex B. Smith, all about that. So I kind of think this becomes a little bit of an over team, Florida, with value to the overs. I think they take a hit defensively without Aaron Ekblad. They don't take as big a hit offensively without him because Seth Jones is a puck mover. He can move the puck. He can be on the power play, but they will miss the defensive prowess of Ekblad because the defensive prowess of Seth Jones just isn't anywhere close. So from that standpoint, I think a sneaky over team, Florida. I'm going to take a shot with over 5.5 in this game. It's even money. Florida, coming off obviously a win against Buffalo. They shut him out, scored 4 goals. Boston, the offense is going to be by committee, obviously, with the way their lineup is right now. But again, I think Florida does take a small hit defensively with who's out of the lineup for them right now. So I'm going to go against the grain here because could make a case in a lot of instances a Panthers-Bruins game won't have a ton of goals. But I think 5.5 with Ekblad out, I think that's a hit on the D for Florida. And I'm going to take the value here, over 5.5, minus 110. Nothing on the side for me. Alex, what do you think here, Florida, Boston?
Sorry, yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the over by factor here, but I'm waiting in game because we're at this point. You can wait and just grab plus money with both over 1.5 and full game 5.5. But I am going to take a shot with a side here, and I'm going to use the old MGM parlay. Panthers to win with the over 5.5 plus 175. I think that's a great number to be getting. We like goals here in this one, and we certainly like Florida in this spot, but we don't need to lay 210 to get plus money with it. So we would go Florida. Tie to over 5.5 at MGM plus 175, and then I'll be waiting for over 1.5 and over 5.5 full game in game.
And I'll say this right now, and I know we were hinting at it. I know our guy in our group chat, Top Cheddar, is very, very good with player props. He bets, I think, more of those than sides and totals, and he even agreed with this. Seth Jones props, man. He's going to play a lot more ice time. Power play, 1, quarterback the power play, whether it's a goal prop, assist prop, certainly, shots on goal prop. There's even some books that I've noticed have starting to offer time on ice props. I don't know if they do it for everybody or how many, but time on ice props, if there's any of those, like you could bet a over certain amount of minutes time on ice for Seth Jones. That makes a lot of sense because his contributions to this team are going to increase quite a bit now. With Aaron Ekblad out and him basically taking over the Aaron Ekblad role. Power play 1, top pair with Forsling, all of that. Something you got to keep in the back of your mind. Matt, what do you think here, Florida, Boston?
I'm in agreement on the Seth Jones stuff. I had that written down pre-show. I think whether you take goal, assist, point, I think that's worth a great look given the suspension. I'm always so weary because every time I bet the over in a Boston game, they score no goals. But I do like that tonight. I think, they're in a spot. They sort of sold at the deadline. Obviously their captain gone, but there is young guys fighting for contracts next year in that lineup. So I think they could chip in. Florida's defense took a hit. You don't have Matty T on the ice. Obviously no Marchand either. So there's no distraction with that. So I am going to take a shot on the over. I saw in the chat, I think this is how I'm going to play it. It's identical to what you just mentioned, Alex, but it's Florida and over 4.5. Obviously, you're not going to get the same juice, but that way, if somehow it ends up being a 2-2 tie and going to OT and Florida wins, you can still hit your bet. So I may sprinkle a little on that and then maybe do them separately. I think live is worth a look given how cheap the price already is. You wait a few minutes, you can get really good prices. But I do think Florida still wins this game. But yeah, I think Seth Jones props are probably the biggest look for me in this one.
And this is this is where you can find your biggest edges in player prop betting throughout the course of the season. Find the change. What's different? What's changing? And what's changing here is Seth Jones is suddenly going to be a big component on the blue line, much bigger, and probably very little, if any, adjustment has been made from Seth Jones props prior to this game compared to what he's been in previous games before tonight. So that's where your value comes in. Ryan, anything you like here? Are you getting involved with Panthers and Bruins?
Yeah, I don't hate Florida in regulation. I haven't put anything down on it yet, but I definitely lean Florida in this spot. But I do like those Seth Jones props. He's obviously going to have to step up and play a much bigger role with that unexpected Ekblad news that came out yesterday. So I will be looking at those Seth Jones, assists, points, over 1.5 points, stuff like that. He is going to get more power play time and everything. So that's pretty much all I have in this game in terms of props. I don't really know if I want to touch the over 5.5. So yeah, that's all for me for this game.
Yeah, I like Mackie Samoskevich goal prop, still value in my opinion. I actually don't mind the look Robert has given us in the chat here. Alan John Greer for the that's his name for the Florida Panthers at plus 900. He scored against Buffalo. He's one of those guys. He's going to score dirty goals around the net. He's a mugger. He's a plugger. He's a physical player. He'll drop the gloves. He'll do all that stuff. And he scored against Buffalo. This is his former team, the Boston Bruins, that he's playing tonight. That's not bad to maybe consider a long shot there with A.J. Greer for the Florida Panthers as well. For Boston, you look at them. How about this Cole Koepke kid? I'm going to see if I can – and Vinny Lettieri too with Middlestat on that second line. Obviously, we've talked about Morgan Geekie, but, these two guys are getting an enhanced role. Cole Koepke had 2 goals against Tampa Bay. Vinny Lettieri is also on that second line with Middlestat. Not bad as far as props are concerned, maybe for those two. I think there's some value there. Ottawa, Philadelphia. We've got the Sens minus 115, road favorites, 5.5 the total. This is a tricky game because it seems like, why the hell am I not betting Ottawa at this price? Why am I not taking them right here? I mean, minus 115, they're the better team, clearly. Philadelphia can't get out of their own way right now. This price looks dirt cheap for Ottawa. But, man, that felt like a playoff game last night. Playoff intensity. Canadian Tire Center is just on fire. It's on a roll. They're loud. Loudest it's been in a long time. Both the Prime broadcast and the Red Wings broadcast said it. A huge win. And now you're on a back-to-back. You've got your lesser goaltender starting tonight on the back-to-back and Anton Forsberg for the Ottawa Senators. That being said, he gave up 4 to Tampa Bay the last time he started. Before that, though, he had a little run where he had given up 3 goals or less in 5 of 6 starts. So he's had some decent starts, too. 2.82 goals against, 895 save percentage. This is going to be, by the way, Anton Forsberg's first start since February the 6th, over a month ago. He got into relief for Allmark on February 22nd, but that's about it. We haven't seen too much of him of late. So I'm very tempted still to take Ottawa, even on a back-to-back, even in the tough spot. Big win last night, maybe a little flat emotionally. But Philly is in a bad way. Fedotov in net tonight. They've lost 4 in a row. They've scored 1 goal. That's right, 1 goal in each of their last 3 games. That's not going to win you any hockey games right now. But Fedotov, we talked about how Erson's kind of struggled a bit. Fedotov hasn't been that bad. Even in the game against New Jersey, he gave up 2 goals. They didn't score for him. He kept them in the game. He played well in relief against Calgary. The Winnipeg game, he was excellent, where they went to the Winnipeg and beat the Jets in a shootout. So it's tough. This is a really, really dubious spot for Ottawa, yet it feels dirt cheap, to take Ottawa here. I'm going to be proactive here and think Philly can do enough, maybe to kickstart some things offensively. Series history, 4 of the last 5 meetings have gone over the total. That's what I like more than anything here. Is I'm going to take a shot over 5.5. That Ottawa can score. They have been scoring. I think they can score on this Philly team. The Flyers can chip in just enough. So going to get in on over 5.5 for a little bit. I have not bet Ottawa yet, but man, I'm tempted. I'm going to let this percolate, and I'm going to let this simmer in my mind right till puck drop if I'm going to pull the trigger on Ottawa, because I feel, why am I not taking them? Even on a back-to-back, even with Forsberg in net, minus 115 just feels so cheap right now against the Flyers. Alex, what do you think here? Ottawa, Philadelphia.
I trust eating White Castle before getting on an airplane more than I trust the Philadelphia Flyers right now. So give me Ottawa on the first period puck line. I got +1. Let's see what I bring up here. Yeah, +185 on the first period puck line. And my thought process is they can get out of the first period with a lead, and then maybe they give up a goal or two, and we'll be able to grab some plus money or grab a reduced price on Ottawa, because I want to see pace. If this is scoreless after 20 minutes, then I just won't look at anything in this game. I'll just take my loss and move on. But I can't do anything Philly. I can't go with an over, because every time I've been on a Philly over and then it's 4-0 or it's 4-1, they don't do anything. If I bet on Philly, they get ran out of the building. If I go against them, then the game goes to overtime. So it's just been a house of horrors with that team right now. So Ottawa first period puck line for me, and then we'll look for something live if it pops up.
And that might be the best approach, because you expect maybe the legs to be there and the energy to be there. And sometimes on the back-to-back, it gives out later in the game. So Ottawa, first period, the approach here on the puck line for Alex in this one. Matt, how about you? Sens Flyers.
This is another one that's probably going to be a pass for me. I would only take Ottawa. I do think that's a pretty good price. Just hoping they win. Being in New York, a couple of the guys went to the Flyers game. I believe it was last Thursday night. I think that was the Winnipeg game, if I'm not mistaken. And it was atrocious. They said it literally looked like Winnipeg was playing an AHL team. So
wow.
All things are going shitty in Philly. So I am tempted as well, Ian. I think, the risk is if you say, okay, I want to see how Ottawa comes out, and if they're just going to dominate Philly, I'd love to jump on them. But then if they score in the first minute, that price is going to change drastically. So that would probably be my only look, is maybe I throw on this game for the first 5 minutes. Ottawa is playing dominant. Philly looks like they have the last few games, but Ottawa doesn't score. Then I might jump in on Ottawa if they stay around that price point. But maybe just a pass game for me, if anything, Ottawa here.
I'm going back to the well with our guy Dylan Cousins. He's gotten a goal and an assist in his first. He got an assist against the Rangers, a goal last night against Detroit, the game winner. So goal and assist prop for Dylan Cousins. I do like that. Maybe feels like Pinto, by the way, is from New Jersey. You got to believe there's going to be some Pinto friends in attendance, because Philly's obviously very close to New Jersey. So I think the Pinto angle makes sense tonight, that Shane Parlay Pinto is going to hit for us here tonight as far as scoring a goal in this one for the Senators. And by the way, the Mishkov Torts drama is back on again, because he got his minutes cut down the other Sunday afternoon against New Jersey. So that soap opera, and that keeps on going, Torts and Mishkov. What do you think here, Ryan? Ottawa, Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I was kind of looking at that over. Philly struggled to score. Ottawa has been scoring 3-4 goals consistently, but ultimately I like Ottawa team total over 2.5, -155 range, -150. Shop around and look for it.
I'm definitely betting that live. I'm going to wait for the price to go down on that Sens team total. Yeah,
I think I might do that as well. If they don't have any in the first 10-12 minutes of the game, you could see a much better price. But I will be looking for that team total. I'm going to take a small shot pregame, and then depending on how it starts, possibly add more. But I feel like 2.5, 3 goals isn't a big ask. They've gotten to 3 or more in 4 of 5 games. So, and Philly has obviously struggled to score, struggled defensively. So I do like Ottawa to put up at least three goals. So give me their team total.
All right, next up, we've got Colorado, Minnesota. Colorado -155, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. What a wretched performance. I'm still disgusted days later. I haven't gotten over it. It was an eyesore. It's like I was watching a hockey game with blurred vision. It was stinging my eyesight watching Minnesota play the way they did against the Pittsburgh Penguins Sunday afternoon. That was horrendous stuff from them. Awful. They've lost 2 in a row against Vancouver at the end of the trip, and then Pittsburgh back home. They're 2-5 in their last 7. Finally, this team looks like a team playing without. Took a while, but now they do look like a team minus Kaprizov, minus Eriksson Ek, minus Brodin, and they miss all those guys. And now they're finally playing like a team that, hey, we need those guys back. Philip Gustafson in net for Minnesota tonight. It's a back-to-back for Colorado, and Wedgwood was great last night. Give him credit. Awesome start for him in a backup role, but obviously we expect Mackenzie Blackwood here tonight for them, Colorado. They've owned Minnesota, especially here in Minnesota. I think Alex knows better than I do. Hasn't Colorado owned them here in Minnesota in particular?
Yeah,
it's a back-to-back for Colorado. This is not a big bet, but I'm keeping it simple. Colorado in regulation. That's the only bet. No team totals, nothing. Just Colorado in regulation. I just feel there's a gap between these two teams right now, especially with Minnesota still without 3 critical pieces to their team. Alex, what do you think here? Avs Wild.
Yeah, 8-2 the last 10, but just reading some of the final scores here at XL Energy Center: 6-1 Avs, 5-2 Avs, 3-2 Avs, 3-2 Avs, 6-3 Avs.
Yeah, I worry about the 3-2 game. That's why I'm not taking the team total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get that, but yeah, I would look for Avs in regulation here as well. And I was trying to find the tweet where I saw with the Wild going back the last month and a half. They're like right there in the bottom 5 of the league with the Chicago Blackhawks and the San Jose's and the Buffalo Sabres of the world. So it's been dismal. And like I said, we knew this was going to happen at some point if they kept dealing with these kind of injuries. And it's just amazing that it took this long for them to kind of actually struggle without having a majority of their top guns. So, like I said, yeah, Avs in regulation for sure. And then, you can add some things in game. Might look for that first period over in game as it crosses in the plus money territory.
All right. How about you, Matt? Colorado, Minnesota.
Yeah, the back-to-back doesn't really change my mindset here. I lean Colorado. I don't think I want to lay minus 155 just on the off chance Minnesota wakes up. Even with the injuries they've had, we've seen them play well at times this year. Hasn't been often as of late, but they are at home. Colorado's coming in on a back-to-back, so I don't know. I think if anything here, I may take a shot with the over by Fecta. That way, if Colorado comes out and wins, 5-1, we're looking pretty good. The worry for me is Minnesota's had some real low scoring games and just hasn't really seemed to get a lot going. So I don't know. I think maybe a small shot on an over by Fecta. I may wait to do it during the game. But yeah, this one, I just don't have a good read on it because I don't think the back-to-back's like a life-changing factor. So I lean Colorado because, hey, they've got to win some games to get into the playoffs for when those guys come back. So it'll be an interesting game for me to watch, being a fan of a Central team. This is 2 teams that could end up playing Dallas depending on where they end up. So will be a watch. So this is probably a live betting spot for me on the over by Fecta.
Yeah, Colorado's in third. They're trailing Dallas by a decent amount of points. I think 6, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. And then Dallas is 6 behind Winnipeg, obviously, for first in the Central. But with the way Dallas, I think, might play down the stretch, they're not out of the first place race just yet.
And they
still
do
lots of hockey left.
They do have 2 games against Winnipeg between now and the end of the season, and obviously they play Colorado on Sunday after playing Winnipeg Friday. So it's definitely one of those things where they kind of control their own destiny, which is a good feeling. They don't need Winnipeg to lose other games per se, but those 4 points that potentially could be an 8-point swing. Those are going to be big games for Dallas.
All right, Ryan, how about you? Avs Wild.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna take a shot with Minnesota plus 135 as a dog here. I just kind of feel like they're aware of the playoff race. They're neck and neck with Colorado. Colorado, I forget which team had a game in hand, but it's going to come down to the last few games of the season. I think they're well aware that it's the difference between potential wild card or finishing second or third in the Central. So I feel like they're going to be hungry. They've struggled against Colorado. I know Colorado has kind of dominated them lately in the series, but I just feel like Colorado on a back-to-back played Chicago last night and then had to travel. I know someone said they didn't get in until early this morning. So I like Minnesota in this spot. I know they're missing a lot of key pieces, but it's one of the dogs that I'm feel good about taking a shot with today, just because, division rival. This game is super important to them, and they are at home. So I look for them to be fired up and give Colorado their A++ game today.
It's possible. It is a bigger game for Minnesota, and the situationals are in their favor. There's no question about that. I just think there's not even close to them with Colorado at the moment. But again, I'm keeping this bet small on Colorado. Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that. Yeah, the travel and back-to-back spot, that's not that big. Even with them leaving late, like you said, yes, they got in at around 6 a.m.
We saw Dallas beat Vancouver Sunday night in that situation.
Right, they got around at 6 a.m. with the time difference back into the Central Time Zone, but they aren't skating today. So, to my knowledge, that they're going to be going right to the rink. So that shouldn't be too much of an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I like Drouin. Drouin's my favorite player prop guy right now for the Avs. Drouin for sure. Natchez has been heating up. You talk about Nelson and Coyle, the new guys, worth a look. Yoel Kiviranta, 100%. I mean, he's been good lately for Colorado, giving them a little punch down the lineup. Those are all props worthy of consideration. I agree. New York Rangers, Winnipeg Jets. We've got Winnipeg minus 190, home favorites, 6 the total. Shesterkin and Hellebuck, your goaltending matchup. No change for the Rangers. They're still missing Edstrom and Fox. The Jets are completely healthy. Nobody on the injury report for them. So you don't often see this late into the regular season, but Winnipeg, a completely healthy team at the moment. They were not healthy the last game as far as their performance on the ice. They lost 4-2 to the Carolina Hurricanes, the end of a 4-game road trip. They do have just one day between the end of that trip Sunday and this game here tonight against the Rangers. But what do we know about this New York Rangers team? They beat the Islanders and the Predators and the Islanders again in Pittsburgh. They don't beat good teams. We know that. Winnipeg off a loss. You would expect them to play well here. The Rangers are a mess defensively. We talk about that over and over again. They've given up 11 goals in their last 2 games combined, completely blew it, shit the bed, puked on themselves against Ottawa on Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, the debacle that was on Sunday. So I'm just going to keep it simple here. We got Winnipeg off the loss. I'm going to do a split. Jets first period puck line to get the lead in the opening period, and Jets team total over 3.5. Because I think off the shutout, or not the shutout, but the 4-2 loss to Carolina, they bounce back offensively here tonight in this game. And the Rangers, we know, are absolute comedy act, a circus defensively in their own zone right now. So a little split here. Jets first period puck line, team total over 3.5. Alex, New York Rangers, Winnipeg Jets.
The small shot on Jets team total over 3.5 plus 110, because this also feels like it could be a game where if the Jets just jump out early, they clamp down defensively, and all of a sudden it's 3-1. Yeah. So it's a very small play. That's the only thing I'm looking at.
Yeah, I feel that way about Vegas-Pittsburgh, too. You could take Pittsburgh team total under in that game. You could take Rangers team total under in this game. Yeah. I think that's not a bad consideration here either. But I think you get Winnipeg focus. And when the Rangers play good teams, you know how it's ended up for them lately. Not very good. What do you think here, Matt? New York, Winnipeg.
Yeah, definitely not back in the Rangers, even though I mentioned today's a big day of dogs. They're not one that I'm willing to back, especially not against a Winnipeg team that's coming off a loss. So I love Winnipeg here. I agree with Alex. I think I wouldn't hammer it because I could see this being 2-0 5 minutes into the game and then just kind of coasting. I will take a shot with Winnipeg team total, and I may split that up again. Both pretty small bets, but I may take a shot with Winnipeg puck line as well. I don't
full
see
game
this being a
line,
1-goal game.
right?
Yeah, full game. Sorry. I didn't mention that since Alex just mentioned first period. I'm going to take the full game puck line. I'm seeing it at like plus 135, plus 140. Seems like a good price where I have almost no confidence in the Rangers keeping this game 1 goal or taking it to overtime. So maybe it's 2-1 late in the game and we get lucky with an empty net, but I don't think this will be that type of game, to be honest.
All right. Yeah, Jets and regulations, a solid look too, Aaron. Minus 115. You could go in that direction too if you like Winnipeg. I probably will add that too. I'll probably do a first period puck line, team total over, Jets and regulation, 3-way split. That's probably the best way to, because it covers your ass too if it's like a 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 Jets win. If you take them in regulation as well, that's not a bad approach. Ryan, how about you here? Rangers, Jets.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys. I like any of those Winnipeg plays. I really like what Aaron threw out there with Jets in regulation, so I'm going to be on that. I do like their team total over 3.5, plus 105. I think that's a good price, especially with them coming off a loss. They're going to want to bounce back, juiced up at home. So New York hasn't been great most of the year defensively. I don't want to touch any totals, any overs or anything like that with totals, but I do like Jets team total, and I don't see the Rangers, keeping up with them for 3 periods. So I think that my favorite play in the game is the Winnipeg regulation -115, -110 range.
And by the way, it's as I mentioned, I already mentioned, it's Shesterkin and Hellebuck, your goalies. All right, Montreal, Vancouver. We've got Vancouver -145, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I jumped on Montreal right away. It has come down a little bit here in this game. And look, Montreal's lost 2 in a row. Maybe they're going to go on a little bit of a skid here, but Edmonton in overtime, no shame in that. They could have won that game. They could have beat Calgary. They outplayed Calgary. Dustin Wolf was outstanding, and is the big reason they lost. It was a 1-0 Flames win. Vancouver just does not warrant and does not merit this kind of a favorite price right now. It's a mess. They lose to Dallas 4-1. Rick Tocchet calling out his best players, too many passengers again. You got to show up and compete, he said. I think he was specifying, a lot of his top guys, because a lot of them were awful, quite honestly, in that game against Dallas. So maybe that inspires them and they come out strong here, but Vancouver is just not playing well enough to be a team I'm interested in at this price. And this is kind of like Toronto last night against Utah with Montreal. You don't want to go 0-3 in Western Canada. You want to come out of here with a win, at least in these 3 games in Western Canada. You lost to the 2 Alberta teams. You don't want to go 0-3. It's a good enough price. Give me Montreal. Bleu, blanc, rouge, au Canadien, au Canadien. Yeah, Montreal. I love that song, by the way. You should play it. It's an old French, obviously, language song for the Canadians going back decades. Yeah, and it always gets stuck in my head when I bet them. Alex, what do you think here? Montreal, Vancouver.
Yeah, I grabbed Habs too, plus 130 earlier today. Like I said, it's going down a bit, but still like it at this spot. You look at Vancouver and their recent string of games. They beat Minnesota. We talked about how beat up they are. They beat Anaheim. Everybody's beat Anaheim. Other than that, you lost at Seattle. You lost at Anaheim on the road. You needed overtime to beat LA. And then you get trounced in the last game, like I said, 4-1 against Dallas. So this is, Vancouver's in there, kind of slip slide form down. I think, just like I said, the Habs definitely need a win on this Western trip after having 2 straight losses. So this is a good spot and good price to back the Habs tonight.
All right, Matt, how about you here? Montreal, Vancouver.
Going to be a repeating record, but I'm taking Montreal here. Just at this price, this is similar to what you mentioned earlier in one of the other games, Ian. If you completely flip-flop these prices, maybe I'm on Vancouver. But I don't think Vancouver is a -145 team right now, playing anybody. And, I do think Montreal, despite the 2 losses in a row, they're still in the mix. They know they still have a shot. They're definitely not packing it in. I haven't seen them play like Philly or even New York for that matter. So give me Montreal money line plus 125 here.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with the total, because series history is strong to the over, but I'm not in a rush to bet these teams over tonight. Montembeault and Lankin in the goalie matchup. They've both been trending under lately. Vancouver's 8-2 to the under in their last 10 games. And Montreal, both of these games on the road trip so far have stayed under, lower scoring games as well. So I'm just staying away from the total. What do you think here, Ryan? Montreal, Vancouver.
Small shot on the Canadians for me at that plus money price. Something I do like a lot more even is Montreal team total over 2.5. It's a cheap -120, -115 range. Just need them to get 3. Vancouver's given up 4 goals, 6 goals, and 5 goals in their last 3 losses. And the Canadians have scored 4 in all 3 of their last 3 wins. So I really like over 2.5 here. It's a cheap price. And so I'm going to split it up with a small amount on Montreal money line, and then I'm going to put some more on their team total over 2.5. I feel like that's a really good play for this one.
All right. Yeah, there are some good props there, I would say, for Montreal. You look at their lineup. There's a couple that I'm interested in here for the Montreal side of it. Josh Waugh is back in the lineup with Newhook and Gallagher. I think he's a guy that can stimulate the offense a little bit. Take a shot with him. Anyone on that top line, they're playing well, as I mentioned. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky are not bad looks either. Washington, Anaheim, Capitals minus 195 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. The Capitals, Logan Thompson, by the way, already confirmed in net for the Capitals tonight. We expect Lukas Dostal for Anaheim because John Gibson remains out for them right now. Washington's won 4 straight here against Anaheim, including 2 straight against Anaheim here at the Honda Center. I'm not stepping in front of Washington, but, it's start of a road trip. You've got LA and San Jose next, minus 190. In this spot, I'm not going to probably take Washington either. I mean, if you're going to take them, take their team total over. I just don't love them in this spot. They have played Anaheim well. And even with the team total, some of those victories, 3-2, 2-0, 3-0. They've had a couple of shutout wins in Washington against Anaheim. So we'll see about that. This is more of a prop game for me, and you know which props I'm interested in. Protas, Wilson, and of course, Alex Ovechkin, last goal, plus 750. It's worth a look now. Anytime you expect them to win a game or they're favored like this, and because they're going to look for them when they're up by 1 late in the game for the empty net goal, just like they found him against who was it the other Seattle on Sunday, and he scored the empty net goal to put that game away. So yeah, the Ovechkin last goal, it's one of the best player prop bets going right now, just simply because when you expect them to have the lead, you would expect obviously them to look for Ovechkin for that empty netter. So that's what I like most of anything. This is a game as far as the total is concerned here. I'm looking at Anaheim. They've had some overs a little bit, but the last two of the last 3 have gone under. With Washington, they've kind of been 6-3, 6-3-1 to the over, but the unders have been pretty good. I could see maybe Washington. I don't know. I just get that sense Washington doesn't bring their A game. They're not their best. They're a little out of sorts tonight. I don't know why I feel that way, but it just does for some reason. So I could see this being an under. You got 2 capable goalies. You got Logan Thompson, obviously. He's had a great season. And, of course, Dostal, who we like long term. So this could be a sneaky under, just gut feel. Alex, what do you think here? Washington, Anaheim.
Yeah, obviously, Ovi last goal scorer goes without saying. I was just looking around, just checking with different books too, because I see where BetMGM they specifically do have listed where overtime's included. So just make sure to check that around. You always want to have overtime included in that prop. But yeah, plus 750 is what I'm seeing across the board with that. If you like Washington, maybe tie Ovi anytime goal to parlay with Caps to knock that money line price down. That might be something I look
Or
into.
just bet them live if they're trailing, and we know they've come back on teams many a time. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. That more than likely would be my mode of attack would be. But even with that, 1 goal won't move it down in the plus money territory. So if you're talking at 1-0 Anaheim, you're talking about maybe laying $1.20, 25 with Washington. So that's why I said maybe look to link OV anytime goal or even Protas anytime goal with Caps money line if you like Washington.
no doubt. And then on the Anaheim side, look, obviously Carlson, Zegras, Strome, Vetrano are all candidates, but we got to bring up this Sam Colangelo kid. I don't know where this has come from, but 5 goals in the last 4 games for him, 4-game goal streak, 5 goals during that span. I don't know where the fuck this has come from. But Sam Colangelo for Anaheim, and he's not even been a top 6 guy for them during this stretch where he scored for them. He's playing with McTavish and Cutter Gauthier on the 3rd line for them, and he's been scoring in bunches all of a sudden. So you got to ride it at this point. I don't know how long it's going to continue. This is literally out of nowhere that this guy is just all of a sudden started to score. But you gotta go with it now with what we've seen. 4-game goal streak, 5 goals in that span for Sam Colangelo, and obviously the price is not reflecting how red hot he is at the moment. Plus 500 at BetMGM is what we're looking at here with Sam Colangelo. So you can't argue with that price given what we've seen production-wise from him. All right, Ryan, how about you here? Or I should say, Matt, what do you think here, Washington, Anaheim?
Likely a pass, but I lean pretty heavy on Washington. It's just not, I'm not going to lay minus 195. And I agree with you. It could be kind of a goalie duel. So I don't love overs or team totals either. Lean Washington if I'm just picking a team to win the game, but just betting wise, probably a pass.
Ryan, how about you? Washington, Anaheim.
Yeah, same for me. If anything, I would take Washington team total for some value or regulation. But I think I might be on some OV props with you. I think the empty netters make a lot of sense. But I'll be on some OV props. Other than that, I'm going to stay off and pass this game in terms of totals.
All right, there we go. All right, next up we've got. Oh, go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I just put in the chat some of the prices for the things I'm talking about. OV anytime goal with Caps money line plus 160 at FanDuel. Alexa Protos just to get a point with Caps money line plus 149. So
Wow.
those are some ways that you can bet Caps and get a good return price for some smaller kind of props.
Bet Caps in a way to get a little more bang for your buck doing so.
Yeah.
Or wait till they fall behind because they've been a good comeback
yeah.
team, as we said. That's not a bad idea. All right, New York Islanders, Los Angeles Kings, LA minus 190, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I mean, this is Kings or nothing at home against this Islanders team who I have no interest betting on against good teams. They beat San Jose, big whoop. In a terrible spot, by the way, for San Jose. And then, of course, we saw what happened against Anaheim when they were on the back-to-back. They got trounced by the Anaheim Ducks in that game. We do see the Islanders here, 4-1 loss to Anaheim, obviously in a bounce-back spot, but I just don't trust LA or the Islanders here. LA been a machine at home, 20 wins, 3 regulation losses, 4 overtime shootout losses at home this year. They have owned this series, too. They've won 6 of the last 7 versus the Islanders. 3-0, 5-2, 5-2. The last 3 meetings here in LA between, and actually 4 straight wins in LA for the Kings over the Islanders. I don't love the value. I lean Kings in regulation, but I don't really love the price of it enough to bet it. And I don't want the Islanders. So this is a Kings in regulation lean. Probably might wait to see if a live opportunity opens up with the Kings instead, but I do lean Kings in regulation. That's about it. Total, I think it could go either way. Alex, what do you think here? Islanders, Kings.
Yep, another small shot on a team total over Kings over 3.5. You get plus 110, plus 112, plus 120. I got a couple books, so shop around and grab the best of that number. But I do think we see goals here, and we know how crazy Patrick Roy is. If it's a 3-0, 3-1 game, he might pull
Crazy
the goal
like
at
a
any
fox.
point. No, that's not. No, he's just batshit crazy actually
Crazy,
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, 3-1, 4-1. Then all of a sudden he pulls the goalie. Now we're cruising. So we
That's
might have.
something to keep in mind. Yep.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind now with the Islanders because he's lost the plot. So we can go team total over against the Isles, and like I said, maybe add a little bit more live. Maybe this might be a game where maybe I grab Kings team total over 1.5 in the third period. I might look for that at FanDuel as well. So,
yeah, and that's a great thing to keep in mind. I mean, that's what cashed your team total over 3.5 if you took it with Anaheim the other night. It's that empty net when he pulled the goalie when it was 3-0 with 12 minutes left in the third period, and then Anaheim scored an empty netter right after that. So that matters. If you expect the Islanders to lose, and you at the very least expect them to be trailing in the third period, you got to start thinking about, team total over for the opponent, because this guy has shown it repeatedly. He's willing to pull his damn goaltender with 10 minutes left or even more than that in the third period, especially when they're down by like 2 or 3 goals.
At BetMGM, you can get LA Kings third period team total over 1.5 plus 175 or over 2 flat plus 425. I'll be adding both of those to my card.
That's even better because third period is when he pulled the goalie, of course.
Right.
If it came to that, and you can probably get 1.5 plus 175, not bad at all. Worth a sprinkle. Like, we know he does this, and we know he will continue to do this when his team's trailing in the third period. Matt, what do you think here? Isles Kings.
Yeah, pretty similar feeling to you guys, but I'm gonna split it up with team total and puck line, kind of for the same reason. If it is close, you always have that shot for an empty net, but if it's 3-1, 4-1, it could be 5-1 pretty quickly. So that puck line will be safe. I'm seeing it at like plus 140. So yeah, I'm on LA here. I think they know they need to keep rolling at this point in the year. So give me LA team total and puck line.
All right, Ryan. All right, Ryan, how about you, Islanders Kings?
Nothing for me in this game. I'm not very interested in watching it, so I don't think I'm going to have anything in it.
All right, last game, Nashville, San Jose. We've got the Predators minus 160, road favorites, 6 the total. I did want to point out Kemper is confirmed for the Kings. Sorokin projected for the Islanders, not confirmed. And this game, Saros projected for Nashville. Alexander Georgiev confirmed for the San Jose Sharks. Toffoli, by the way, game-time decision for the San Jose Sharks, game-time decision with a lower body injury that he suffered the other night. So we'll see if he's in the lineup. Noah Gregor as well. Game-time decision. Roman Josi, Michael Bunting, still on IR, the primary absences right now for the Nashville Predators going into this game. I think the thing that we have to factor in more than anything with this game is that Nashville has won 3 in a row. They're kind of a team I don't want to fade right now because now the pressure's off, and watch them now just go out and win a bunch of games and do something stupid like that and probably ruin their draft stock in the process. Watch them do it. I mean, they're showing signs of it, aren't they? I mean, they haven't won 3 in a row very often, but they've been able to do it again. Now, Boston, Seattle, and Chicago is a little sisters of the poor, but at the same point in time, they've still won 3 in a row, and this is another sisters of the poor facing San Jose. I know San Jose, brutal stretch of game. It might take San Jose a couple of games to get recalibrated after that brutal 7-game road trip, and then coming back home with just 1 day between games. They lost to the Islanders in a brutal spot on Saturday night. Now, they finally do have 2 days of rest, finally, and no travel. That's got to mean something for San Jose. So situationals are finally pointing up for San Jose. But, Nashville is feeling it a little bit. I don't want to step in their way, especially, guys, when you look at the series history this year. I remember those games. They were back-to-back in January, and San Jose got lit the fuck up by the Nashville Predators. They gave up 13 goals in those 2 games, a 7-5 loss and a 6-5 loss. And it was pond hockey. I don't know why, but you got these 2 teams together. It turned into pond hockey between these 2 teams. Both games cashed the first period over and full game over, and that's where I'm going. Over by Fecta here. Over 1.5 first period, over 6 full game. I want nothing to do with a side, but give me goals. Alex, what do you think here? Nashville, San Jose.
Yeah, I'll probably look for the over by Factor in game, but not much else I would be looking at after that. So, like I said, this it being a late night game, we'll see how the rest of the night shakes out, and that might add on to this one. Otherwise, it'll end up being a pass.
All right. You know what? We have not had a Matt Robinson special on this show yet. I've just read, and I just mentioned that because this might be the ideal game for it. That over 1.5 and over 5.5.
That's true.
That Matt Robinson often looks for. Is that it, Matt? Nashville, San Jose?
Yeah, I was going to say, who would have thought at this point in the season, these 2 teams, one of them, yes, the other one, no, would be 2 of the worst teams in the Western Conference. But as we're getting close to the end of the season, we talked about it a lot at the end of last year's regular season. Guys are playing for contracts, bonuses, whatever it may be. So now that these 2 teams are locked out of the playoffs, you might see a 6-5 type game. So, yeah, fuck it. Let's go with the Matt Rob special on this one. First period, 1.5 full game, over 5.5. We'll parlay that on MGM. Should get a nice plus price. And let's just hope for a nice Sunday skate between 2 non-factor teams at this point in the year.
Yeah, and that's an angle we've talked about for years. We've been doing this show now for 8 years, and we've talked about it a lot. The 2 non-playoff teams, they're not games I'm looking to bet under with 2 non-playoff teams. Who's blocking a shot? You say this, who's blocking a shot when you're not going anywhere, and you're not going to the Stanley Cup playoffs? So goals, and plus, again, the 2 extreme high-scoring games back in January between these 2 teams. Ryan, how about you? Nashville, San Jose.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the Toilet Bowl. I got the over. I see a lot of books have moved to 6.5. I got in on it at that 6 price right around minus 115. So I'm just riding with that. I know Nashville's won 3 in a row, but I don't trust them with what they've shown this season. And San Jose, obviously, it's a decent spot for them, like you said, but I don't trust them either. So I'm just going to stick with that 6. And that's all I have for this game in terms of sides, totals, or props.
And remember, Saros started one of those 2 Nashville San Jose games last year, and he got pulled in it, and he was not very good at all. So like I said, we'll see if he makes amends. I'm not so sure. I think we'll see goals there in the Shark Tank tonight. All right, there you have it. That's the Tuesday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. We also appreciate our Patreon members who are signed up, and we urge you, sign up at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts and totals charts, of course, a daily betting card, sides, totals, player props, posted each and every day. And our next Patreon exclusive live betcast, Tuesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us. Make sure you sign up before then, because you are only able to be a Patreon member to join us for those exclusive live betcasts. So make sure you sign up, just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You have until midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central, to get 15% off on your order. Click the redeem button at the homepage. Add all your items to your cart. 15% off will be taken out at checkout. So don't delay on that. We've got a bunch of new stuff in the store, some really cool merch, some new designs in there as well. So check it out. 15% until midnight Eastern tonight. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
St. Mary's' own Gonzaga. I'll answer this question because I'm in a good mood, even though it's not hockey. But why is Gonzaga favored then tonight against St. Mary's when they're 0-2 against them? And I get the feeling that this game's kind of personal for Gonzaga to not go 0-3 against St. Mary's this year. I haven't bet the game, but I lean Gonzaga, quite honestly. I think they're favored for a reason there. And they're playing better now than they were earlier in the season. Even though they didn't play great last night, but overall down the stretch, they played better.
Something to remember at college basketball conference time. It's very hard to beat a team 3 straight times.
Yeah. There's no lock, Daniel Brown. I appreciate you agreeing with me liking Gonzaga, but yeah, nothing's a lock. Trust me. Anything can happen. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. We haven't even mentioned this yet on the show. Alex B. Smith with a bargain bin special winner last night. David Perron for the Detroit Red Wings, getting the first goal of the game for the Red Wings. Unfortunately, for Ottawa, sorry, not for Detroit, for Ottawa last night against Detroit. So a nice job there for Alex. We'll see if he's got an encore for the bargain bin special.
Yeah, it's kind of the same kind of setup. You got two teams playing in the same division, and you've got somebody going back to a familiar location. Going to St. Paul, going to Minnesota and Colorado. We're looking at Charlie Coyle, who is now a member of the Colorado Avalanche. Once upon a time was a member of the Minnesota Wild. You can get him anytime goal scorer plus 550 at FanDuel. to see plus 500 a couple of spots as well. I think that's a good price. He's been someone who's cashed for us a couple times this year and on this show overall. So Charlie Coyle, anytime goal scorer for the Colorado Avalanche, plus 550 is my Tuesday bargain bin special.
There we go. I like it. That's actually worth playing. Charlie Coyle, Colorado Avalanche, back in Minnesota, plus 550 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special tonight. Matty Rob, what do you got for bargain bin special?
So I actually have two tonight. One I think can be guessed, but it's been a long time since I've been on the show. My first one, sort of an honorable mention, I'm going to take Adam Fantilli over 1.5 points. I think that's live tonight. I really liked that from the get-go. And then, after thinking about it a little bit, I can't pass up a Tuesday night Stefan Noesen anytime goal prop. He's back on the top line. He's had a bit of a slow streak, but he's a guy that when he's on that top line, he's pretty regularly scoring. And then when he's playing on the third line, you don't see him as much. He's been that way his whole career. When he's getting the opportunity, he usually can produce. So love that play tonight as well. So that'll be my main play, but I do like Adam Fantilli over 1.5 points. So a little bonus bargain bin.
There you go. Adam Fantilli over 1.5 points for Columbus, and Stefan Noesen, all reliable, back on the top line for the New Jersey Devils for Matt Robinson with his bargain bin special of the night. Ryan, what do you got? Bargain bin special.
Yeah, so I'm going back to that Colorado game like Alex. I'm going to go with Nathan MacKinnon, 2+ goals, seat at plus 950, plus 1,000 range at some books. He's a guy that shows up against big, in important games against big division rivals. Obviously, this game's important for both teams, and it's a night of a back-to-back. So the second night of a back-to-back. So if Colorado, wins this one 4-1, 4-2, something like that, I see him factoring in big. I know he's had, in his career, he's had a lot of big games against Minnesota and some of these other central teams. So give me Nathan MacKinnon, 2+ goals, plus 950, plus 1,000 range.
Wow, great price there. Anywhere up to 10-1. Nathan MacKinnon over 1.5 goals for Ryan Robinson and his bargain bin special of the night. And my bargain bins, I'm going to give you two. I've got a feeling about Riley Smith tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights going to Pittsburgh, plus 475 at DraftKings. I'm going to take Riley Smith as my first of two. My second of two, it makes no sense how all of a sudden this guy has just all of a sudden got 5 goals in the last 4. But Sam Colangelo for the Anaheim Ducks, plus 500. So there you go. There's my two. Riley Smith, Vegas, plus 475 back in Pittsburgh. And Sammy Colangelo for the Anaheim Ducks. I can't explain how he's got goals in 4 straight games or 5 goals in 4 games, but ride the wave while it's here. Plus 500 for Sam Colangelo for my second bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Tuesday slate. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go. Well, there I am. Let's go outside the box a little bit here. We go to LA.
Known what I look like and what you look like by now after all these years.
You would think so. We go to LA and taking on the Islanders. Like I said, we have no idea what Patrick Roy is going to do late in the contest, but there's a good chance we can see some goals from the LA Kings late in the game. So why not? Let's go. LA Kings, third period over 1.5, plus 170. You can get that at BetMGM. Like I said, maybe that's just a spot where we just get 2 goals in the third regularly, or maybe we get some craziness and one of those or 2 of those could be empty net goals. Either way, it's worth taking a shot with. So LA Kings to score 2 in the third period, plus 170. That's my best bet.
There you go. A 2-goal third period from the LA Kings for Alex B. Smith with his best bet for this Tuesday card. And by the way, John X has given the Robinson boys their flowers. More shows with the Rob boys, says John X. So there you go. Liking the contributions from the brothers in arms here. Matt Robinson, we'll go to him next. Matty Rob, best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, obviously a lot of options here, but I'm going to go with the Matty Rob special that came in the last game. 2 bad teams, 2 teams out of the playoffs, 2 teams playing for goal bonuses. Nashville, San Jose tonight. It'll be a late one. It'll be the only reason I'm staying up to watch it. I know it's not that late my time, but I would rather be watching a lot of things in that game. Give me the same game parlay. First period over 1.5, full game over 5.5. I'm seeing it plus 115 on MGM. Lock it in. I feel like this is going to be a Sunday skate with a lot of goals on both ends.
All right, there you go. That's Matty Rob special there. The over 1.5 and over 5.5 parlay with Nashville and San Jose for his best bet. And Ryan Robinson, best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, I really like for my best bet today. I'm taking Winnipeg in regulation 60-minute line minus 110. New York has struggled obviously this whole season, struggled defensively. So if Winnipeg gets up big, 2-1, 3-1 towards the end of the first, like Alex mentioned, the possibility they're going to lock it down. Anytime you have Hellebuck back there, you're in good company. So I really like Winnipeg, especially coming back off that loss. They're not going to be happy losing to Carolina. They're back at home. So give me Winnipeg Jets 60-minute line minus 110 for my best bet today.
All right, Jets in regulation minus 110 for Ryan Robinson, his best bet. My best bet for this Tuesday, that's that Nashville San Jose game. I'm just going to go full game over 6 minus 120. The last two meetings, double-digit goals, both of them. And again, two non-playoff teams. Don't expect a ton of shot blocking or defensive intensity. So let's go with it in the late night hours. Preds, Sharks, over 6, minus 120 for my Tuesday best bet. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Good stuff, and good to have both the Robinsons in the house for this Tuesday edition of the show. And Matt will be on his regular days, Tuesday and Thursday, a lot more often moving forward as the schedule finally and the hectic nature finally starts to slow down a bit for him. Good stuff. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Matt Robinson, he'll be back Thursday. We got Perlo on tomorrow. Ryan Robinson will be back on Saturday with us. Looking forward to that. And, of course, Alex and I are back with Perlo tomorrow. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you again tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.